Okay, well, I'll just talk and just check up with it. How's everyone? How are you coping with the break at the moment in terms of subject and also other subjects? No? Okay. So, yeah, remember, I'm the only one speaking, and if you want to speak, you can speak. This is a discussion, so it's not me teaching here today. I'm here to answer any questions that you have that that might be able to help you over the next week or so before we meet again. Okay. So I'm still waiting for questions to come up here. I'm going to start answering. So before I answer the questions, so did you all have a chance to see the latest video that I uploaded, which is actually a catch up and a checking in on your progress and some advice about what you need to do with your interviews?
Sorry, was it a two-part video and the assignment, or was it a different one?
Just a single video that I uploaded on Saturday.
Okay, that one I haven't, sorry.
Okay, so has anyone seen it? So if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. What I have done is actually, I've created a, so it's actually uploaded to Canvas, and gosh, what I've done is actually created an extra, so if you go to module as a student, you'll be able to see this anyway. So you see, I've created a study vacation week. So here, sorry, I forgot to share screen with you. Just 1 second. Right, so under module, you see that under module 2, there's a study vacation section. And then I've uploaded a video here, video recording of checking in and some advice about what you need to do this week. So that's a YouTube link and the slides as well for that short video. Okay, so have a look at that. Also, there are other resources here that you can use. Okay, what are other questions? Okay, so I'm going to answer the first question from Shrishti, which is for the first part, ongoing design process deliverables. In what format do we present a design brief? So before I answer Shrishti's question, can I just walk everyone through, sorry. Before I answer Christy's question, can I walk everyone through the steps in which I'm hoping for this to happen? So, so collecting the data of the interviewers would be, of your interviewees are the most important thing. So once you've got your 9 to 12 set of data, and I spoke about it in the video that I've uploaded on Saturday, that you don't need to send me the recording. You don't, but you need to transcribe it yourself. So listen to it and write down the important things that you get out of it. You don't need to share the transcript with me, but you do need to analyze it. So use affinity diagramming to analyze it, and then you get the findings. Okay, so your findings, there should be 2 groups of findings that you should have. So one group of findings is about, well, it's not really finding, it's just information about the person. So just like the discussion board number 5, what questions would you ask to get information about the personal stuff. So that's one group of information you have, which is the personal information about the person's name, age, occupation, previous occupation, whether they live alone or not, or what do they do, their habits, their hobbies, and all that sort of stuff, and preferences for technology. So those information needs to be kept. So you should start writing those down anyway, transcribing it. That should be used in conjunction. Let's say you've got 12 sets of those information from different people. I will teach you how to look at them together to use those information to create 3 personas, right? So that's one thing. But you also have another group of findings, which is the findings about the experiences. So if you are asking people about the experience of being in a lockdown, what are some of the positive experiences, what are some of the negative experiences, when do the positive happens, why did it happen, and all that stuff, okay? And whether music is being used, how it's being used. Those findings needs to be analyzed, and you need to look at them as a group. So like hopefully if you've got 12 people, then you look at 12 sets of findings around a similar experience. And then you use that to present it into the design brief. So the design brief will be based on information from the experience data, right? I'll repeat that once more. The personal data from your interview will be used specifically for the personas, and the experience related data will be used for the design brief. Okay, so in terms of the format of the design brief, it will be done in a Word format, and I will give you a template and I will present it in the next lecture. So I'm in the middle of preparing a lecture for next week. So we do have classes next week. And that lecture will be about how do you make personas from the personal data that you collected, and how do you think about a design brief, what's in a design brief, what information do you need to take from the findings from the experience data to create a design brief. And that design brief is worth 5%, yeah? So remember that. So I will teach you how to do that, but just for the moment, the design brief will be in a Word document. I might give you the main structure of what the document would look like, but basically you have a chance to be a bit flexible with the template. You should be presenting basically what you learn. Okay, what did you learn when you look at all 9 or all 10 or 11 or 12 people? What did you learn about the experience of that particular topic? Okay, so let's say it's about being locked in during living in lockdown during COVID-19. So what is the total experience that you learn? What are the different things that you learn? For instance, you know, oh, they feel negative during this time, or they're different type of negative experience, or they're different type of positive. So you need to organize in that design brief, first of all, the findings. And then the next section of the second section of the design brief would talk about what are some of the interesting findings that you think would make really, really good things for design. Okay, so so that is how you want to formulate your design brief. But I will talk more about that in a video lecture for next week about the design brief. Okay, does that help, Shristi, at the moment in terms of answering your question? And does anyone have any follow-up questions about that?
Helpful, thank you.
Okay, so Brendan asked me a question about, with interviews, should we also consider those who do not participate in the activity? For example, if a person doesn't listen to music on walks, should we ask them why? If he is your participant, or if she is your participant, yes, you should also include people who have not incorporated music in the activity itself, okay? Because you might want to find out why they don't. Maybe that's something you can do with your design solution. Or you can find out, ask them, if they don't use music, how might they think that music might provide an improvement to the current experience of walking, for example. Okay, so so when you recruit people, your recruitment for interview should be people who participate in that experience. Whether they use music or not is not the most important part. The most important recruitment criteria is that do they fulfill, do those people that you want to recruit fulfill the requirement of being participating in that experience. So if you recruit someone, let's say you're interested in the experience of people working in an office, then you must recruit people primarily who works in an office. Okay, no point in recruiting someone who is a factory worker who doesn't work in an office. Okay, but within the people that you recruit who works in an office, some of them might not use music, and that's okay. Okay, but you should then be asking them why don't they use music? Is it because they hate music? Or if they do hate music, why is it that they actually hate music? Because you might want to find ways in which you can present music as a solution for them as well. And if they don't use music, so find out why, and that might provide you with ideas about design too, okay? Maybe it's that people either they have not thought about the use of music, or maybe they didn't think it was possible to use music in a particular way. So your job is to listen, and your job is to understand and be the expert in design and say, well, look, maybe music can be presented to you in this way that you haven't thought about. Okay, Brendan? And anyone else, do you understand what you need to do in terms of recruitment and in terms of asking questions? Right, look, what else do you, are you unsure of? Because look, I really hope that, you know, since you have made the commitment to come online and to listen and to participate in this, I'm hoping that all of you would have at least one question, okay? Not just to just come in and listen to other people's question, because I'm marking your assignment at the moment, and I'm having not such a good time because, you know, a number of assignments are really not on point. You're not focusing on the right thing. And I felt that, hey, you know, you don't quite know what you're doing, and yet I don't think, you know, you've really asked me any questions. This is a chance to learn. So you need to ask questions, because if you don't understand something, if you don't ask, then it's just going to end up being kind of, you're presenting something that shows that you haven't really understood.
Ted, can I ask another question?
Yep.
So this is in regards to the plain language project description and consent form. Yep. That we need to email the participants. Do we need to let you know that we've done that in any way, or is it just a process that we need to follow and do it from our end?
It's not something that you need to tell me, but what you can do, if you want to check, you can send it to me. But it's just basically a short paragraph description. So, for instance, you could write "Dear" and then the person's name. Okay. I'm studying, you know, interaction design at university, and we're doing a design project at the moment. And the design project is about this. So give them like the topic title, and we hope that, you know, we might be able to invite you to be a participant for interview. The interview will take, you know, tell them like roughly how long it's going to take, and we'll record the interview, and it will be done online to a time that is suitable for you and us. If you're fine with that, it'd be great to hear back from you. So just to let you know. So, okay. So it's basically a description about your project and what is expected of the other person. So like, usually people want to know, well, what are you gonna be doing? So basically you're gonna tell them that we'll be asking you questions, how long it's gonna take. Okay, people want to know whether they can commit to time or not. And also you know, whether it's going to be recorded or not.
Okay, thank you. And
Okay.
also, like, is there any, you know, would you recommend any length for the interview, or it really depends? I know, like, you know, on the conversation floor as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Normally, my interviews range between an hour to an hour and a half, and I don't expect yours to be that long. I think if your interview is half an hour, it might be on the short side. Or think like, why is half an hour enough for your interview? If I'm doing your interview, like trying to learn what I think you should be learning, I think you should be aiming for half an hour, at least 40 to 45 minutes the minimum. Because, I mean, you spend about 10 minutes already talking about who they are or more, you know, getting to know them. And before you start moving into asking them about the experience itself. What I do worry about is that most of you think that experience is just one question, you know, like, so most of you would think of asking, let's say your focus is about the experience of being in a lockdown during COVID-19. So I'll use that as an example. So most people would think, oh, I'll just ask this question. So what is your experience of being in a lockdown during COVID? And then the people say, oh yeah, it's okay, or it's very boring. Oh, thanks. And then you write down your findings. The experience is boring. But you don't know, that's not it, right? In order to ask this person's experience about their lockdown, it's a lot more, you have to ask a lot more questions, like, you know, so can you, let's say you would say, ask them like, you know, can you tell me about your experience, let's say a typical day, you know, from the morning when you wake up till the evening. What do you do? You know, how do you feel? What do you think about? You know, so remember, experience is more than just feeling. It's also what do people think? Okay, what do people do? And how do they feel? All that sort of stuff. So in terms of time, I would say at least about, you know, 40 to 45 minutes. Again, you know, you are just trying this out. Some of you might be more experienced with doing interview because you've done that in your job, so you can go a little bit longer. But for some of you who've not done it before, this is your first time. So yeah, I would say try for, you know, somewhere between 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so there's a question from Chao Yi. If my group wants to build a persona, how many interviews of the same situation should be used? Right, okay. I really said that earlier on and a few times before in terms of the persona. The persona needs to be built from the total interviews that you have, okay? So you can't just interview one person and build a persona. So don't expect to interview 3 people and build 3 personas, which is basically what you're doing, is say one person becomes this one persona, person 2 becomes persona 2, person 3 become persona 3. A persona is actually not correlated one-to-one to a person. A persona is based on, let's say, you know, I interviewed 20 people, and after interviewing 20 people and knowing about the personality of these 20 people, I would then say, can I summarize these 20 people into 3 or into 4 different type of people, different personas? So let's say, you know, I interviewed 20 people, I would say, okay, I'm going to create, just to be fair, 2 females and 2 male, okay? But each of them should also be different from each other, okay? And each of them, but all of them, all the different things will be built from the entire 20, okay? Things that I learned about 20. So you don't take, you know, you don't say, okay, person 1, 2, 3 will become the first one, person 3, 4, 5 becomes second one. Okay, you need to really look at the different characters and personality and say, okay, what can I take from a little bit from here, a bit from here, maybe nothing from there, okay, to put into persona 1. And maybe a little bit from this one, plus that one, and plus this one, and that one, and that one, and then put it into the second one. And sometimes you might have to add a little bit of stuff that you think that is about the person to build up a more complete picture of the persona. It's quite complicated, and yet it is not. Okay, the important thing is to remember that you don't copy a person one for one for a persona, and that's a wrong thing to do. Okay, a persona is fictional, it's not real, but it is based on real information. So what I usually do is I try and collect different characteristics or different information from different people I have interviewed. It could be a mix of male and female, and put them into a mail. Okay, but it's going to make sense. When I put them together, I'm going to say, well, does this make sense? Does this persona make sense in terms of the combination that I put together? Okay. Do you think it's okay if participants are someone we know, our friends or family, or someone, should we try finding new people? It's okay at this stage to interview people that you know if you have problems recruiting people whom you don't know. Okay? In actual research projects, you should not be interviewing people you know because of bias, right? But in this project itself, because of the limitation of time, because of the limitation of COVID-19, and because of various limitations, also the first time that you're doing it, I'm not so particular, I'm not so strict, okay? But so there are two answers. Number one, in a real life situation, no, you shouldn't get participants that you know, like your family members and your good friend, okay? But for now, you can, if you can't find people you don't know. So my preference is that you go and interview people who are friends of friends, okay? If you have problems recruiting enough people, then yes, you can use your friends, okay? So the main thing we should focus on is user research in this assignment. So I think you should focus on, in these 2 weeks, so by the end of this Sunday, before next Monday, the group should be focused on doing the user research and doing the analysis. That's it. Okay, don't do, if you have more time, you can start looking at persona, but I will teach you how to do persona and design brief on Monday and Tuesday next week. Okay, so for this week, for the rest of this week, today is Monday, until Sunday, the team's main focus should be completing user research, doing the transcription, doing the analysis together as a team. Have that information together before next Monday, because next Monday I'm going to start teaching you how to do persona, and you need to use that information to do the persona. Do you understand? Can we include two types? Well, analyze means look at all the information that you have and try and understand what you have and reduce the complexity down to the main idea. And that is in a lecture that I've already recorded and presented, including slides, called affinity diagramming. That's right, you analyze the information from the interview, right? You analyze the information from all 12 people that you interview together as a team, right? So I mentioned that already in the affinity diagram lecture, that you start with your analysis first, and then come together with your team members and share your analysis with each other to come up with a final overall analysis. Can we include, from Jesse, can we include 2 types of experience or more for this user experience? Interview people who are new to the country, they may have experienced loneliness and stress, experience more than one different experience. I don't understand, Jesse. It depends on what your question is. Can you give me an example of the question that you're asking? the idea of this user research is to focus on one type of experience, understand it really, 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 really well. And then from there, do the analysis and say, what do we know about this experience? And then how can we design to improve this experience? So why do you want to do 2 different types of experience?
Hi, Tex. This is from Jessie. I mean that if you interview people who are international students who are new to the country, they probably feel not just one experience. They probably maybe feel loneliness or stress. So when I try to compose this research, can I include that these 2 kinds of experience in my research?
It depends on what the research question is. The big topic of your team's research. What is it? Can you give me the name?
Like improve the experience of international students who are new to a country, but
Good.
I didn't include what type of experience.
That's fine. That's fine. And everyone, can you please listen to Jessie's question? That's really, really good example of the confusion that some of you might have. Okay. So Jessie's question is that the team's question is, how can we improve the experience using digital music, improve the experience of international students? Okay. Now, the experience of international students who are new to the country are many. There are many different experiences. As Jessie pointed out, it could be loneliness. It could be about worrying about finance. It could be about cultural differences, but it also could be fun. It could be also really enjoyable. It could be also an experience of freedom because they may be living with their families the first time they're being on their own. So it could be also very frightening, but also very liberating. So that is fantastic. So what you want to know, Jessie, and the rest of you, you should try and get as many of the different experiences as possible to understand the different experience. But in your interview then, work out what is the one that people think that should be improved upon the most, or what is the one that people most desire. That would help you guide you to your design brief, to what you might want to design for. Okay, but you need to understand all that first before you start choosing. Okay, don't go there with just idea of like, oh, I think I'm also international student, that I experience loneliness, so we're just going to focus on loneliness. That's not good enough. In everything that you want to find out, there should be different type of experiences. Your job in this interview is find out all the different type of experiences, the good, the bad, the not so good, the really, really good, the really, really negative. And then in your conversation with the people, work out, well, what is the one that they desire the most? What is the one that they think is most meaningful? What do they think is the one that you can best improve to make things better for them? You also need to make a judgment as a designer. What do you think is most important for people? And then you do that in your analysis and in your design brief. Does that help?
So we just choose the most desirable one from out of the among the experiences.
Not during the interview, but later when you do the design brief, when you do the design idea.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
During the user research, you don't want to stop at any, you want to explore. It's a divergent. Okay, user research is a divergent activity. It means you want to go as big as possible, to pick up as many things as possible, to learn as much as possible. That's what you do in user research, all of you. Okay, if your user research only look at one thing, then you have failed, right? So if you can tell me, there are 4 different positive experiences, there are 4 different negative experiences, there are this one that people desire, that this one that people don't think is really, then that is what you have done, then that is really good. And that's what I think will be the best outcome, right? The user research, just like your desk research, is to learn as much as possible. And that's the problem I'm seeing with the desk research.
Yeah, cool. Got you. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Tak.
Yep. Hi.
This is May. I'm so sorry for interrupting. So I have a question. So for us, I just want to make things clear. So for this week, we interview, and then each one of us will interview two personalities, 2, 3, as much as they could. And after that, we analyze these personalities, and then we meet up with the group and then discuss these personalities and create personas from these personalities, and from then we design the brief.
Yes, May, did you join this conversation a little bit later?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I've covered it earlier on. I said that basically, I just want to repeat that once more. That's why I insist on people being punctual, is that there are two groups of information you will be getting from this user research interview. Number one, the information about the personal details about the people. Those are the information, all 12 different personal details group will be used for creating personas. You're also another group of information you'll be getting from your user research interview will be about what are people thinking about the experience, what are the type of experience, what are the experiences like. And when you collect them all together, all 12 of them, they will be used for the design brief. The design brief is about what are we designing. The persona is who are the people we're designing for. Does that help you?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Anyone else don't think that I've totally understood what is going on? Because if they're not much more, then we might just wind this up and then finish the discussion. And for the recording itself, I'm going to just share the screen with you and just let you see. So for the recording, I will put it on this page, study vacation page. Okay, so video recording of checking in with you, then I'll add another video recording here, video recording of Monday discussion or something like that. Okay, anything else? Because it's really important that you get it clear what you need to do this week, right? I'm glad that you're thinking about persona and thinking about design brief, but don't stress out too much yet. You make sure that you focus your energy on getting your user research data, analyzing the data, organize the data, because when you start doing a persona, they all need to be there. All right, so if there are no more questions, I would end this discussion. And when the recording is available for me from Zoom, I would upload it to that page that I just shown you, and I would send an announcement up on Canvas to let you know about the video. Okay, you should listen to it again just to remind yourself about what I've just said if you're a little bit confused, and encourage your team members to watch it and listen to it too. And one last thing, remember I've also created a video from Saturday about this as well. So please go and watch that video too. Okay, so if there's nothing else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the meeting now. All right? Okay, take care, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks.